Om Shanno Mitrasham Varunah Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Bruhaspati Shanno Vishnu Rukramah Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanma Mavatu Tadvaktaram Avatu Avatu Mam Avatu Vaktaram Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Namaste Sabhayai Sabhapatibhyascha. I have been asked to present a paper on COVID-19 and the Vedas with a rider of limit, which scuttles down the offer to a minimal effort. I can't help it. Anyway, the time limit given is nothing when compared to the subject they want me to cover. Anyway, I will give as many details as possible within that short time. So I will fly through the subject. Now, the theme of the conference is impact of Vedas on the world today. See, ever since the discovery of Valmiki Ramayana in 1806, the whole Western world was stunned by that event, and which issued them a cosmos that was far, far older and far, far infinite than what the Bible had led them to believe. In that backdrop, all the old concepts of science were catapulted, and a new surge began with Max Muller translating Vedas in 1871. Later, Max Planck came out first with his quantum theory, which was the beginning of the Vedic science abroad. The atom was split and new eras began. That was the beginning of the Western science into the domain of Vedic science. Then nothing can be built by anybody about what has not been built by Vedas, by Vedic science earlier. That's definite. It is stated clearly in Mandukya Upanishad. Shankara has clearly explained that, and there is no doubt about it. All that the scientific theories have come out with are already in Vedas, and for repeating what Vedas had said, Nobel Prizes have been given. Stephen Hawking mentions the award of 1973 Nobel Prize to Richard Feynman, his friend, on saying that the creation is not one event, a single event, but it is a repeated cycle of creations and disappearances. That is Srishti and Laya. It's a cycle. That was stated in 1973. That you can see what is the importance of the superiority of Vedas. Not only that, when I presented a paper in 2012 in Alwar on cosmology, my paper was snatched before presentation, and a xerox was sent by one gentleman called Dr. Om Prakash Pandey, a retired scientist from NASA, who had come there from Delhi. And my book, my paper was part of my book published in 2014, and the NASA came out in 2016 that they have arrived at, they have discovered the axis of our cosmos, our universe. That's the place I had indicated in my paper, and I had calculated the distances of various, that is the cosmos, the Brahmaloka, that is the axis of our cosmos, Devaloka, Pitraloka, and mentioning is that the primary essay of Vedas is unquestionable. It is this impact that is recognized by the West today. I call them, all the Western scientists, as the new Brahmins. And our Indian Brahmins have forgotten that, and unfortunately, they are going by Macaulay's imposition and adhering to Max Muller's chronology. So it is change. It's because of Kali Yuga. Now, see, I will come to the point that they want me to make, whether the Vedas knew anything about COVID-19. No. One thing they should remember, that Vedas do not care about names, because the Upanishad says, Vikaro Namadheyam Amrutam, Anrutam. That is, all the names of different units are all false. It does not go by that. It goes by the main principle. So, the various infections, you must remember that COVID-19 is not a disease, it's an infection. A disease is a bodily dysfunction, but an infection is an outward situation which influences the function of the bodies. Therefore, this COVID-19 infection is a generic infection. So, the Vedas knew about the infections, and it had warned. Now, the Vedic mantra that I chanted before, I'll give that mantra. You see, ultimately, what the meaning is and what it explains, that will give you a glimpse of you see, what Vedas had, the Vedic method. The Vedic, there is the great difference between the Vedic method of teaching and the Western method. You see, the West has been known to treat only the symptoms. It considers the symptoms and tries to overcome the symptoms. But that's not Vedic method. The Vedas say that the entire cosmos is bound by cause and effect, the law of cause and effect. Therefore, our method is to treat the causes, to eliminate the causes. If it cannot be eliminated, then how to avoid, by what method we can avoid the causes, or how to reduce the effect of the causes, how to relieve the causes. So this way, now Ayurveda is considered a holistic approach. The entire world was saying that medical science was superior and we knew nothing. But now the same doctors, the same medical science, Western medical science has accepted Ayurveda as the holistic approach. And you see, the popularity of yoga and the Ayurveda has grown umpteen times. Now they say 100% of the diseases are psychosomatic. That was written by long back by Vasishtha, in Yoga Vasishtha, it's clearly stated all adhi, vyadhi, everything, all sorts of diseases, mental or physical or any other type, they are all bound by the cause and effect, and it's all related to the status of mind. It's our mental strength which will is primarily responsible for our own sufferings of various kinds. With this background, we have to analyze whether they had found any proper medicine or proper method for the so-called COVID-19. While looking at that, I have been a researcher in insurance into the longevity of life for nearly 4 decades. When I passed actuarial science in distinction in 1962, I started with the question, because in LIC we selected only class 1 lives for insurance. Even then, we were experiencing early claims and very early claims. It should not have happened. Why it happened? That was the question. And when I asked my superior, he simply said, "It's for you to find out." So I had to step into research, and I have done much work. Anyway, with that habit, when the papers showed me the various symptoms after my return from Shillong from a international conference on philosophy held in March first week. Bangalore was locked down with because of this COVID, and papers gave me for 1 week. They went on screening the various symptoms. My curiosity was roused. I came to certain conclusions, and fortunately, April 12th, the papers came out with figures of exposures and deaths due to COVID-19. And what I had presumed, they were proved correct by the figures that came out in the papers. So that helped me. It was nothing but an effect of, 3 factors. One, temperature, humidity in the air, and the location, watery locations. And for that, unfortunately, I had prepared a PPT, a PowerPoint presentation, but I don't think there is the provision for making that presentation, because many of the factors are visual, which can be appreciated by only on seeing. Otherwise, it's very hard to have a clear comprehension, because the entire data clearly picturized the entire COVID, what it was, because it was concentrated in the Western Europe. The maximum deaths were in the Western Europe during March, and all were in shallow water areas, because shallow water geographically, they say it gets heated up and evaporated into air, and gets into the atmosphere, so that when the people breathe, it gets into their lungs and it will damage. Even in cold, the fog, if you see Western literature, particularly from European countries, which are mostly marine countries, you you see that there was a natural fear of fog. So COVID-19 is nothing new. It's only fog, they have given a new name, that's all. So the fog, you see, causes the same the results of death. Therefore, they were avoiding. Anyway, this is the picture what we can get from the study of the present circumstances. Now, whereas whether they knew, what about other areas like USA, China and India, which are large countries, where even non-marine areas also affection is there. It is because of a high degree of pollution. You see, the pity is in all these countries, all the rivers today are polluted. They have become, you see, drains of sewage, all waste, industrial waste, then human waste, medical waste, chemical waste, all sorts of waste are dumped into the rivers, and rivers cannot flow easily, and because of this slowness, they cannot carry all the, they cannot drain all the wastage into the seas, and therefore it will emit all sorts of odors and gases which are harmful to the mankind. And now I will when the question comes whether the Vedic, our Vedic scholars had clear idea about environment, the question was raised. Yes, for that I will come out with I'll come out with the shlokas. Now, you may have you heard my Vedic prayer. What is that Vedic prayer? What is, and whom does it pray? I'll first tell you. No. Om Shanno Mitra Sham Varunaha. Mitra is sun god. First prayer was to sun god because he is the god of heat who makes the water evaporate. Varuna, Shanno Mitra Sham Varunaha. Varuna is the god of water, which is beneficent to us, but it's water and vaporizes into air, that becomes a harmful thing for us. And Aryama is the god of investing us with life, beneficent to us. And Indra is the god of our body. Brihaspati is the god of our understanding and our mind. Vishnu is the god of this eternal cycle of universe, that is our life, entire life, and we want him to be beneficent to us. These are the gods of the cosmos, which who are called the Vishve Devaha, who control us and the elements of nature. If they are, you see, pleased, they will keep us safe. It is they who always protect. And if we are having a firm, clean life, you see, not affected by vile things, they will protect. Dharmo rakshita rakshitaha. They definitely, you see, there's assurance is there that they will protect us. But unfortunately, we do not care for that. We think that we ourselves are masters. Yes, true. But when we realize who I am, I can be a master. Till then, I have to go by what my protectors say. We do not, wait for that. We do not care for them. We think that who are they to control me? And in that, fallacy, we unfortunately lose much of our life. May it be. But one, asked me, okay, it's only mere prayer. It does not show that any reference to the factors like environment. How do you say Vedas, they were concerned about environment? Yes. I will quote one mantra. Amrutam va apaha. Amrutya nistarehi nasa mutra purisham kuryat. Na nishtivet. Na nirvasana snanam. You see, it says, it warns, water in this is nectar. Into open waters and in open spaces, that is rivers, lakes, tanks, ponds, etc. None should urinate or excrete. None should spit. None should bathe nakedly. These are the Vedic injunctions about cleaning all our rivers, open tanks, ponds, etc. cleanly, etc. Today, have we cared for that? No. Tanks are getting ignited. Water becoming afire. Bengaluru lakes, you see, they are on fire. Our forests are on fire. This, who's making? These are not acts of God. This is our own making. So, it's when we are going against Vedic warnings, who can help? How can God help? And you should be clear-cut that no king can come to your help. Because it's Anudalingya Shasana Vidhi, it cannot be stopped by any. So, here, Vedas also warned that we have never cared. So these are the factors, unfortunately, because of our own commitment of our so-called educated modernistic societies. Humankind is suffering everywhere, because everywhere the same ignorance is ruling today. We have lost our concepts of purity, concepts of happiness, what can bring us peace. So there are plenty of mantras which deal with that. Even I have written in my book about the controlling of weather. The Hindus were knowing how to control weather. In India, we had our traditions. But after independence, we have discarded all that as useless, because we became great by westernizing ourselves. And so now we are paying for that. We are not allowed to freely breathe. God has given a free air to entire mankind, not merely mankind, even all creatures. But now you cannot breathe here. You cannot do pranayama in places like Delhi and Bengaluru because of pollution. You see, yoga is a perfect way of maintaining peace and happiness. But you cannot do pranayama. You cannot do breathing exercise. I had to warn not to do it in most of the cities. And they have to go search for places for doing pranayama to breathe free air. And not only all various environmentalists warned about the world getting heated up. Our glaciers are melting. Where will we stand if all the glaciers melt? The whole earth will be submerged. Much of the border areas of our country, and including Pakistan, they will be the first victims. But government does not bother. They do not try, how to stop, how to prevent. That's what the Hindu science is. But they are not bothered. No, it is for you scholars. You are listening to this. It should have the purpose. It should merit. But I had to cut down because they said I should limit my talk to 10 minutes. But the person was, then I argued, I do not want to talk. He said, all right, I will give you a few minutes, the grace. With that, I see there are many mantras which deal with this, but about Hindu control of environment, you can refer to my book. I have given in the paper, the reference. But it is possible even now to, if you make a real effort, not merely just a political stance. I admire Mr. Modi, who started with the Namami Ganges plan of Swachhata. But he has been talking about it, but it has not flowed down into all his, you see, the coterie, this with the same sincerity, with the same intensity of passion. And you see, cleaning one river, you see, we have more than 140 such rivers, all polluted. And the same water is being fed, saying that it's clean, but no, the water is toxic. The doctors clearly warn us not to use. They warn us not to bathe. You see, if salt cannot salt us, wherewith things can be, our food can be salted. Like that, if water becomes non-water, it's the end of our life. And it's amrutam va apaha. See, amruta. Amruta means everybody thinks it is some nectar. No. Water itself is the amruta. The word amruta is a compound. It's a up plus ruta. Ruta means life. Apruta means life in the form of water. So life in the form of water, by drinking a cup of pure water early in the morning, the moment we get up, is a tonic for against all diseases, a preventive tonic for against all diseases. But are we getting a cup of amruta? But have we really, have any of us realized that it's amruta? Have you experienced it? I think the answer will be, the question will be not answered. I don't expect, etc. But if my words make at least some people think about this and make them move towards any solution, I'll be happiest person on earth, happy to live or to die. So I must thank you. If there are any questions, you are welcome. I can answer to the best of my ability. Thank you.